More than 60 years ago, the world met a young Mick Jagger, a rock star with a magnetic presence and a rebellious spirit that defied every norm of his time. But behind the glitz, the fame, and the iconic lips lies a life filled with secrets, controversies, and mysteries that the world is still trying to unravel. From dangerous liaisons and run-ins with the law to controversial relationships and life-threatening plots, Mick Jagger's story is far from typical. And while some see him as a musical genius, others view him as a scandal magnet, a man unafraid to push every boundary, no matter the cost. Today, we're going to take you inside the world of Mick Jagger, revealing the untold stories, the shocking truths, and the twists and turns that have shaped one of rock's most legendary figures. So, what price did Jagger pay to live life as a Rolling Stone? Mick Jagger wasn't born a rock star. Growing up in post-war England, he was the son of a teacher and a housewife, living a life that seemed destined for stability and tradition. From an early age, Mick showed a knack for music, but it was his friendship with Keith Richards that changed everything. The two bonded over their shared love for American blues, a genre that was almost unheard of in England at the time. What started as two young friends playing records soon evolved into something much larger than either of them could have imagined. Against the expectations of his family, Mick dropped out of the prestigious London School of Economics, a decision that shocked those closest to him. His parents, who had envisioned a stable, respectable career path for their son, were far from supportive. They couldn't understand why Mick would abandon such a promising future to pursue something as unpredictable as rock and roll. But for Mick, the pull of music was too strong to ignore. This bold choice would come to define him, showcasing his willingness to defy expectations and take risks, even if it meant leaving behind the security of a traditional path. It was the first of many rebellious decisions that set him on a course of conflict, controversy, and a life lived entirely on his own terms. As the Rolling Stones began to take shape, they found an unexpected ally in the Beatles. In 1963, John Lennon and Paul McCartney offered the band a song they'd been working on called "I Wanna Be Your Man." The song wasn't fully finished at the time, but Lennon and McCartney adapted it to fit the gritty, bluesy style of the Rolling Stones. This collaboration wasn't just a chance encounter. It became one of the Rolling Stones' first major hits and helped them break into the British music scene. While fans and the media often fueled a fierce rivalry between the two bands, the truth was far different. The Beatles and the Rolling Stones shared a mutual respect and even a friendship, collaborating and supporting each other's rise to fame. This friendly rivalry only added to the mystery surrounding both bands, making them icons of an era. But fame is never simple, and as Mick's star rose, so did the pressures, temptations, and controversies that would soon become synonymous with his name. Mick Jagger's personal life was as turbulent and captivating as his career. Known for his magnetic charisma and free-spirited nature, Mick became entangled in high-profile relationships that fueled endless speculation and media frenzy. From his passionate and volatile romance with Marianne Faithfull to his marriage with Bianca Jagger, a relationship that seemed glamorous on the surface but was strained by Mick's unpredictable lifestyle. Each romance added layers to his already complex public image. One of his closest friendships in the industry was with Tina Turner, who once described Mick as being like a brother to her. Known for her electrifying dance moves, Tina actually taught Jagger many of the iconic moves he became famous for on stage. This connection wasn't just about music. It was a bond that showed Mick's openness to learning from those he admired and respected. Mick's affairs weren't just love stories. They were scandals that fascinated the world. With countless romances and alleged affairs with high-profile celebrities, Jagger earned the reputation of a rock and roll Casanova. His love life often blurred into controversy, challenging societal norms and leaving a trail of headlines and rumors. But Jagger's romances went beyond mere celebrity gossip. They shaped the man he was and the man he became on stage. His relationships gave him experiences that he poured back into his music, but they also drew criticism from those who saw him as reckless,
even destructive. Yet even as the world watched his every move, Mick was still hiding something much darker beneath the surface. Mick Jagger's life in the limelight wasn't without its darker moments. As the Rolling Stones rose to fame, so did their reputation for pushing boundaries, not just musically, but legally. One of the most notorious incidents took place in February 1967, when the police raided Keith Richards' home in Redlands.
Defense counsel said that a national newspaper had tipped off the police that it would be worth their while to raid Richards' home for drugs on the Sunday afternoon, and the raid was carried out on that Sunday evening. Evidence that an unnamed naked woman was sitting on a sofa with a rug around her when police raided Keith Richards' house at West Wittering was given in court today.
The gathering, which was supposed to be a private affair, turned into a full-scale scandal as the police discovered drugs on the premises. Jagger, Richards, and several other attendees were arrested, facing serious charges that threatened to derail their careers. The media quickly picked up the story, casting Mick and Keith as symbols of a generation that was challenging the old guard. While critics saw them as dangerous influences, their fans saw them as heroes standing up against an out-of-touch establishment. The public support was so strong that it began to sway public opinion, creating a groundswell of sympathy for the two rock stars. Jagger and Richards initially faced harsh sentences, 3 months for Mick and a year for Keith. But the overwhelming support from fans and fellow artists brought massive media attention, ultimately leading to the sentences being overturned. This near miss with prison solidified their rebellious image and showed that, for Mick and the Stones, rules were meant to be broken. But fame and rebellion came with a heavy price. And as Mick's star continued to rise, the temptations and dangers around him only grew stronger.
As the Rolling Stones grew into a global phenomenon, Mick Jagger became more than just a frontman. He became a symbol of artistic freedom and rebellion, a man who wasn't afraid to challenge the boundaries of music, fashion, and society itself. Throughout the 70s and 80s, Mick pushed his artistic identity further, experimenting with bold fashion statements and provocative lyrics that stirred the public. His style was flamboyant, unapologetic, and often controversial, blending elements of masculinity and femininity in a way that defied expectations. Jagger's stage presence was a carefully crafted act of defiance. He danced and sang with a confidence that many found thrilling and others found unsettling. He embraced an androgynous look, challenging rigid ideas of gender and sparking debates that echoed far beyond the music industry. But Jagger's artistic pursuits didn't stop at music. In the 1970s, he took a leap into acting, starring in films like Performance and Ned Kelly. Though his acting career was brief, it showcased his willingness to explore and express himself beyond the world of rock and roll. His fearless approach wasn't just for show. Mick became an icon for anyone who felt confined by society's expectations, inspiring a new generation to embrace their individuality. His influence stretched beyond music, setting trends that would shape pop culture for decades to come. But while Mick was living on the edge, breaking barriers and setting trends, the pressures of fame and his rock star lifestyle began to take a toll. Behind the rock star persona and the electrifying performances, Mick Jagger faced very real struggles, from health scares to family challenges. Issues that reminded the world that even icons have their vulnerabilities. As the years went by, the demands of a life lived in the spotlight began to weigh on Mick. In recent years, he faced a major health scare, a heart surgery in 2019 that momentarily paused his tour and shocked fans worldwide. It was a rare glimpse into the toll his high-energy lifestyle had taken, and for the first time, fans saw a different side of the seemingly invincible rock legend. While Mick's career continued to soar, his personal life was often turbulent. Despite his image as a rock and roll rebel, he also had a softer side, especially when it came to his family. Jagger has 8 children with 5 different women, and despite his unconventional family structure, he's known to be a devoted father. This softer,
more private side to Mick often surprised those who only knew him from his onstage persona. One of the most controversial moments in Jagger's personal life came with his separation from Jerry Hall, the mother of 4 of his children. The couple had exchanged vows in a symbolic ceremony in Bali in 1990, but when Hall filed for divorce in 1999, Jagger's legal team took an unexpected approach. They argued that the marriage was never legally valid, questioning the legitimacy of the Bali ceremony and challenging the documentation. This move allowed Jagger to avoid a costly divorce settlement, but left many questioning his approach to the mother of his children. For a man who once seemed invincible, moments like his health scare, complex family dynamics, and controversial relationships revealed a new dimension of Mick Jagger. Beneath the swagger and the fame was a man who, like anyone, had his own fears and struggles, facing moments of vulnerability that few ever expected to see. But even as Mick showed glimpses of his human side, his life remained shrouded in mystery, with secrets and controversies that refused to fade away. But even as Mick revealed glimpses of his private struggles, there was an undercurrent of mystery surrounding him, a veil of rumors and controversies that have only intensified over time. Mick Jagger isn't just a rock legend, he's a living enigma. For years, rumors, wild stories, and unresolved questions have swirled around his life, leaving fans to wonder what's real and what's myth. One of the most jaw-dropping rumors comes from 1987, when Angie Bowie, David Bowie's then-wife, claimed she once caught her husband in bed with Mick Jagger. This scandalous story quickly took on a life of its own, fueling endless speculation about the nature of Jagger and Bowie's friendship. While the truth was never fully revealed, this rumor added another layer to Jagger's unpredictable and boundary-pushing image. Jagger's controversies even reached the royal family. When he was nominated to be knighted, it's said that Queen Elizabeth II herself disapproved. She reportedly found his rebellious lifestyle and past indiscretions unfitting for such an honor. Ultimately, Jagger was knighted in 2003, but the ceremony was conducted by Prince Charles, not the Queen herself. Many claim that Mick accepted the knighthood largely because it meant a great deal to his father. In this photograph taken after the ceremony, his father's happiness is unmistakable, capturing a rare moment of pride and joy. Adding fuel to the fire, Jagger had allegedly referred to Her Majesty as the Chief Witch in the past, a remark that only deepened the rift between him and the British aristocracy. But some stories about Mick Jagger go beyond rumors, touching on the very real dangers he faced. In 1969, following the infamous Altamont Free concert, where the Hells Angels, a notorious motorcycle gang, were involved in the fatal stabbing of a fan, Jagger publicly condemned them, vowing never to use them for security again. Furious over his remarks, members of the gang allegedly plotted to assassinate him, attempting to approach his Long Island residence by boat. Yet, fate intervened when a storm struck, capsizing their boat and forcing them to abandon the plan. Another controversy that continues to shadow Jagger emerged from an interview with NBC News in 1978, where he sarcastically stated that their next album would be even more racist and sexist than the last.
Some critics say your new album
stinks.
No, they would say it's a terrific record. I think it's a terrific record.
It stinks. Wait till the next one.
Some of them say your record is sexist and possibly racist. What do you say about that?
The next one's going to be more racist and more sexist, and it's going to be a whole bunch better.
Though his comment was likely meant as a provocation, it stirred intense backlash, with critics accusing him of insensitivity toward racial and gender issues. To some, these remarks reinforced Jagger's image as a provocateur willing to cross lines, while others saw them as a troubling reflection of his disregard for social norms. But as much as the rumors and mysteries surround Mick, one thing is certain. His legacy is undeniable, leaving us to wonder just how he'll be remembered. After decades of fame, scandal, and boundary-pushing music, Mick Jagger has secured his place as one of rock's most iconic figures. But with a life as complex as his, the question remains, how will history remember Mick Jagger? Jagger's impact on music is undeniable. The Rolling Stones not only changed the sound of rock, but also redefined what it meant to be a rock star. From massive stadium tours to record-breaking albums, Jagger and his bandmates set a standard that countless artists have tried to follow. In fact, the Rolling Stones still hold the title for one of the most successful tours in history, proving their influence spans generations. But Mick's legacy isn't just about the music. It's about the mysteries, the controversies, and the larger-than-life persona he created. His life was a blend of rebellion and sophistication, of glamour and grit, a paradox that continues to fascinate and divide fans and critics alike. As we look back on Mick Jagger's incredible journey, we're left with an image of a man who lived life on his own terms, a man who has defied convention at every turn. He's a figure who's been adored, criticized, and endlessly analyzed. And yet, even now, he remains as untouchable as ever. And even after all the controversies, scandals, and decades in the spotlight, Mick Jagger still takes the stage, proving that his passion for music remains as fierce as ever. What do you think? Has Jagger's legacy been defined by his music, his controversies, or perhaps both? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories about rock's most unforgettable legends.